This is not the kind of audience we want to see when we speak at a convention, is it? And this isn't the kind we want to see in our classroom. And what about when we're talking to our teams? Well, we could say these people look hungover. They aren't engaged. They don't give a rip. They don't care. But that audience response is on us. Years ago, a study was done, and researchers asked college students to decide how long it would take them to decide whether or not this professor was effective. How long would it take you? 3 seconds, barely. That's all it was. And that's because he's giving us nothing. So if our audiences aren't engaged out there, 9 times out of 10, it's because we are not pumping out at our fullest potential. This is what we want our audiences to look like, isn't it? You know how to get them to look like that? You have to commit to the process of becoming a bold speaker. And here's how it works. This is my comfortability continuum. This is Sandra down here. Sandra didn't want to speak at her annual meeting, and she said she's going to get drunk. She said, Foxy, I'm getting drunk. I am getting drunk. I cannot speak at my annual meeting. I had to pull her away from the wall. We got her up the continuum to, I can tolerate it, but where I want you, as professors, as superintendents who've been invited to speak at conventions, is way up here on the exhilarated plane. This is where you learn to love what you're doing up here, and you learn to love the interface and the interaction between you and the audience. Whether you're a polished presenter looking for a quick shine-up, or a seasoned superintendent long on agronomy, maybe a little short on speaking, a few small speak tweaks will net you much greater impact. See down here at the bottom? When you don't have much proficiency as a speaker and you are not very good at it, when you're meeting people, you notice how they back up, they try to avoid you? Then that means your sphere of influence is next to none. Maybe the wife and the cat, that's what you get. When you get a little better at it and you have at least low proficiency, your audiences start to accept it. They start to accept what you're speaking. They might not do anything about it, but at least they say, I get that. And then as it goes on up, you see that you have a broader sphere of influence. And here we go. This is where you are developing a better proficiency, and people start to use what I call aspire language. They say, I want that. I want to do that. And you know that that makes the broader business pay attention. See how the sphere of influence gets bigger? Then you move up to practicing proficiency, and guess what? The people you're speaking to act on what you say. They actually go out and do what you're trying to teach them, and senior leadership pays attention to that. But here's where I really would love to see you get, and that's mastery, full proficiency at speaking. And that means people who listen to you want to achieve their fullest potential. And that's when you become a thought leader, and the global community pays attention. So how do you become a bold speaker? Pretty simple. All you do is follow a few simple, bold speak tweaks, micro acts to maximize your impact. And here they are. It's not about the what. Does that surprise you? I'm not going to talk to you about grasses because I don't know. I'm not going to talk to you about mowing patterns, but what I'm going to do is tell you how to speak to your audiences, no matter who they are. And it all starts with this. Your visual rhythm. Did you know that we spend all of our time working on the words for our speech? But they see this before we ever open our mouths. Remember that guy I showed you before? No life. So you have to let them see you, and you have to think about that when you're preparing your talk. I say we make a big mistake. First of all, we stand behind what I call the death by lectern. Stay away from that thing. They can't see you. They can't feel you. I say we build a little speaker barrel out here, a little 2-foot circle, and we stand in it, and I'm the speaker, and you're not, and so I'm going to get nervous out here, or I'm not going to like it, or I don't really have to engage with you, and that's when we get one of those bored audiences. But when we step out of that and let ourselves free and say, I'm just one of you sharing what I know. Please let me know if it helps you. We have a completely different mindset, and so does your audience. Let's talk about posture. I suppose you've noticed mine. I have my mom's back. I hate it. So I wish I could stand up straighter all the time. And if you do, look what happens. You even lose 5 pounds. Some of you might not need that, but I look forward to that. So here's how you do it. Put your hands on your chest, and all you have to do is give me your at-rest posture, and then just lift. Maybe just a ½ inch. What happens if we lift 2 inches? Don't I look better? I want to do this all the time. Then the number one thing I get asked is, but Jan, what do I do with my hands? The dreaded hangers, where do they go? Well, this is where they don't go, right here, because where did your eyes all look? That's the classic fig leaf position. You stand up and start right there, that's not good. And then here's another one. This is the belly button warmer. You put your hands here because now we're in speaker mode, speaker position, and all of a sudden you realize you need to make a gesture, and there's nothing to do, so your hands just kind of go like this. You kind of look like a little Venus flytrap or something. It's kind of hypnotizing. We don't want that. And then a beautiful lady came to me, very, very elegant. And she told a story, and her hands did this. I swear. I said, I cannot tell this gorgeous woman that she looks like a penguin. I'm going to video that story for you. Let's take a look at it together. Oh my gosh, I look just like a penguin. Yes, she saw it for herself, and you know what? She can fix it if she can see it for herself. So we don't want that move. We definitely don't want this one where your hands just flap like this. So do me a favor, take your elbows off that rib cage and let yourself free. You can go out a few inches. That might make you more comfortable. I like to be way out here. I want to give it all I've got. So we don't want that. And then I had to practice this one. I was with a group, and the vice president of a company was speaking and doing this. Now, you know, I didn't hear a thing he said because I was trying to figure out what in the world he was doing. And I tried to figure out if I could learn it. And sure enough, he leaves the room, and 2 young spiky-haired guys say, hey, there goes old chicken wing. So they didn't know what he said either, but they know what they saw. So no patterns that will draw attention to themselves. So what do? I shake and follow. Could I get you by any chance to come up and join me here on stage? It starts with a simple handshake. Now this is not a lesson about how to have a handshake, but if you shake someone's hand, thank you ma'am, what's your name?
Chris.
Chris, thank you. When you let go of that hand, it's just like this. It's not like this with 10 things flying around. It's not pushing in. It's not like this. They're open and they're put out like this. Make sense? Now stick them out there for me. And now you at home, follow me too. Are you ready? Chris, say everybody.
Everybody.
Say over in Pittsburgh.
Over in Pittsburgh.
I don't know if that's where Pittsburgh really is, but you get the idea. I can point. So you shake hands, get that open hand, and then let your hands follow your words. How about working the room? Some people like to just walk around for no reason, like that busy bee. Others pace. Worked with a guy who walked out into his key light, said, good evening, today we're going to talk about the state of the golf industry. Took a right, walked 5 paces, and then went out of his key light. He was a big voice in the dark. He did it back and forth and back and forth. Again, hypnotized. But you don't want to be the standing target either, like that guy in the video. And then here's Sandra. Remember Sandra, who was going to have to get drunk? She was hiding behind a chair and trying to push herself into the wall, so I had to pull her out. That doesn't work either when you try to hide from your audience. And this is what I think it looks like. You want to be a music maker. Talk to the trombones. Hit it, bass drum. Go ahead. That's what you do, is try to make everything you do look orchestrated with your hands to augment your message. And you do it with your whole body. Eye contact. We have to have it. Some people say, look at the exit sign on the back wall. So I think even if you're sitting at home or in your office, you can see I'm not looking at you, okay? Then they say, look at a dot, or look over their heads. None of that works. We need direct eye to eye, eyeball to eyeball, eyeball dot to eyeball dot contact. And it doesn't matter how short you are, how tall you are, our faces need to be parallel. So how does that work? If I'm in an audience where there are a few people on a front row, I bend over, I make my face come down to theirs, and I talk to them. Then I want to talk to the middle group, so I stand up a little bit. And then if you have a big audience or you're on a stage, I want to make sure that the people in the back know that I'm talking to them, so I just lift up. Because if I talk like this, I look cocky. So that's how you have eye contact in a big room. What about the voice? That middle line is the monotone. We don't want to be that. So we have to look for ways to build in what I call voice variation. And see the line that starts down here and goes all the way up? People now are doing that. It's called up talk. I think it's the new generation. They start down here and they go up. When they finish the sentence, start down here, finish up like this. And after a while, that turns into a flat line. And then here's my little shoe drooler. He starts way up there, and by the time he got to the end of his sentence, he was drooling on his shoes. And then one of the things I'm going to try to do is... So I worked with him, and he was able to throw his voice all the way to the back wall, all the way till the end of the sentence. But he called me a couple of days later. Hey, Foxy, I'm going to ask Janet to... blah, blah, blah. Brian, you have to say that again. I'm going to ask Janet to blah, 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 blah. Brian, throw your voice to the back wall. I'm going to ask Janet to marry me. Well, for goodness sake, she needs to know the end of that sentence. I don't know exactly what he did, but they're married, so he got it. And here I am right here. Have you figured me out? Do I sound like your mother? Just up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit. I have to work very, very, very hard to break that pattern. So here are the tricks to having voice variation. Use volume. There was a time a while back when I said something in a whisper. Do you remember what I said in that whisper? And then there was a time when it yelled. It was, I can't tell this beautiful creature, she looks like a penguin. And I yelled and I said, oh, I can't believe I look just like a penguin. So that's your voice range. If you can do it right now, yell your name. I'm Jan Fox. Then whisper it. I'm Jan Fox. That's the voice range that you can use in a talk. Don't be afraid to get big and loud. Don't be afraid to get small. You can vary it by your pace. You can go as fast as I'm going right now, or you can slow down from time to time to make a point. Or these are the people who drive me nuts, the slow boats to China. They talk like this. And what do? We interrupt them. And what do they say? Let me finish. And when they say, let me finish, they can say that fast. But now we're stuck listening to it all over again. So you'd never want to get stuck in slow pace, but there are lots of places where you can use it just like that.
Before we begin tonight,
you'll be able to see a technology, a technology that will...
If you know that you your way through a talk, or if you use too many of them, or if you do a like or a you know, then just shut your mouth. And can't come out if your mouth is closed. So just when you're thinking about the next thing you're going to say, just shut your mouth to think about it. And that will keep those ums from coming out. The place you make your big mark as a speaker is with your stories. Your client stories, your team member stories, the board stories, the stories of people in your family. That's where people begin to remember you. Those are your most memorable moments. This is Janet Fox, corner Montgomery and Locust Streets. This is my mom. Isn't she gorgeous? People used to say, little Foxy, you got such a pretty mama. But in that ratty old house, there were some secrets. She had a razor strap. And my brother and I went to school with the welts of that thing up the backs of our legs, and sometimes in other places, like over my eye. I had to tell a lie about how I got that black eye. So how did that kid get to here? I wish I could tell you. I think it's the big golf superintendent in the sky who cut a path just for Janet Fox, and I got to walk it. And I've had 30 years in the TV business that I never could have planned for myself. So I stand here today in great awe and huge gratitude for that life. And that's why I do this, to help other people speak to their fullest potential. It's part of my payback plan. Did you feel something when I described that little girl in that ratty house? Did you feel a little something when I explained about the razor strap? That's what's called a phenomenological experience. If I can tell my story like I really feel it, and it makes you feel something too, that means my feelings jumped in your belly. That's a phenomenological thing. And when you make your teams feel something, they want to do it. When you make your classes feel something, they want to believe you. And there's a room for that and lots of stories that you can tell. You have to make them feel something. Trying to move them through their heads doesn't work. It comes through their hearts. Fastest way to change behavior. So let me ask a question. Did my little story change a mood in here, in your house, in your room, in your office? Did it change your mind? Did it change the pace of where you thought we were going? Did it change the outcomes? Stories can change your outcomes, sometimes even in terms of your revenue and savings. We can't keep going with these numbers.
Researchers say most of us learn by doing. Shouldn't our presentations contain more doing? Try short demos. Ask for a volunteer.
So what are you doing right now? You've been doing it ever since I stood up here. What are you doing? Shout it out. That's the way this works. We're informal, right? Who said listening? You said listening? Sir, you can have a cake pop. You see how this works? I ask a question, you answer.
Try shout-outs with prizes.
Runner. All right. Take a bow. Take a bow. Very good. Thank you. Doug. This is Doug. Give him a round of applause. We'll see if he gets one at the end of this, all right? So now, I want to know when was the last time you used a little small tweak, a little move that got you a big impact? Oh, that's way too...
Call-ups are fun if you pick the right person.
So now, turn that way. Now, I want you to turn over here now, and I want you to tell me the last time you used a little tweak to get a big impact.
I've never tweeted.
No, not tweet. But he said something, didn't he? Didn't he say something? A tweak.
Oh, you need
a
to
little
speak a little
tiny.
better.
I need to speak better. Anybody know where I can get a speaking coach? Okay. That made my face turn red. All right, now when you use the little tweak to get a big impact.
Oh, God, I have no idea.
Oh, see, but
with
he's...
my kids, actually, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
he said something. So that's good enough, right? So what drove him to say something, anything, fast?
Fear of getting sprayed in the face.
Fear of getting... Yes! Now, I want you to clap for these people right now. You clap for them.
Clap.
You clap for them right now. And say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Because by now, most audiences are hollering, do it, do it, do it. Okay, posture matters. Now I've said the P word. I'm going to ask you to stand up, and I know you're all going to stand up straight. So
Follow
stand
the
up just a
leader.
second.
Easy and active.
Now, give me your at-rest posture. The one you use more often than that one I just saw. Now look around and ask me if you'd give any one of these people a promotion.
You have a paper that looks like this, and it's called your Blink Impressions. We're gonna
Quick
make you work a little
worksheets,
bit.
but emphasis on
There
short.
the first column says self-perceptions.
So you ask, how do you pull your audience back together from all of these interactions? You can use a noisemaker. A loud burst of music should do it. Or there's always trusty hand clapping. About your PowerPoint slides.
But he doesn't listen.
But Limba, honey, look at this. Right now, they can't do anything if we can't get everything out of the wall. If we're gonna break everything down.
I'm not breaking anything down. I'm just letting you know
Limba,
you cannot have cupcakes for dinner.
Limba.
Embed funny videos to make a point, like this one I use on how not to listen.
I get anything and anything and anything.
I'm done arguing with you.
I'm done arguing with you. Linda, I'm done arguing with you. Oh,
No words, or at least a lot fewer words on your slides. This may shock you, but your audiences watch sports with fast-flying graphics. Same with their video games. Use visuals. 1 point per slide. It's PowerPoint, not Power Speech on every slide. Big photos or charts. Yes, this means you'll have to make a lot more slides. And no bullets. Get rid of bullets. Tell the truth. When you see a slide full of bullets, don't you say, oh no, another long list? Well, why would you want to do that to your audience? End on time. So build in false endings. That way you can stop before your planned ending if you need to cut time. Here's my ending number 1.
So repeat after me. I hereby solemnly swear, ladies, to never again say, I'm not ready yet. Say, I am ready. I want you to empower yourself. Say, I got this. Let's hear it.
And a few slides later, here's my ending number 2.
No.
Can I help?
No.
You want me to help, Rose?
No. Thank you. No, thank you.
What do you want me to do?
What about yourself? What about you drive? What about yourself? Go drive.
Worry about yourself and drive it home. Drive it home.
Learn to stop on any slide. But now for my real ending.
You can't advance if you can't speak. You can't push your ideas up if you can't present. You cannot motivate if you can't communicate. So say after me, I got this. I think you do. I give you all a raise. Thank you very, 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 very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Jan Fox, signing off for real.